If you're my age and watched Cartoon Network back in the early 2000s, then you probably remember Beyblade, that anime about spinning tops with monsters coming out of them. I was a huge fan, and I still have a fondness for it today, having rewatched the first series up to G-Revolution at least twice. Today, this is referred to as the plastic generation, to differentiate it from the metal-focused ones that came after. Like a lot of animes, Beyblade was actually an adaptation of a manga, Bakuten Shoot Beyblade, by Takao Aoki. The anime pretty much just follows the same broad stroke story as the manga in terms of arcs and tournaments, but there are differences along the way, and that's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to be going through the manga's story and pointing the differences out. I'm going to just follow the story of the manga as a guideline and then point out where things differ along the way, because I just find it easy to write like that. If a scene from the manga happens much earlier in the anime, or vice versa, I'll mention it. Not only that, but there were even more changes made when the anime was dubbed in English, so I'm going to be pointing out the most notable ones there as well. The English dub changed a lot of the names used throughout the series, I guess to make it more appealing to a Western audience. For the sake of both ease and also your ears on any potential mispronunciations on my part, I'm going to be mainly using the Western names for these videos. I'm going to be doing the same for Bit Beasts too. In the original Japanese version, their real life inspirations were sometimes used when referring to the Bit Beast, and the other name is used for the blade itself. So for instance, Byakko and Draiga. Yeah, I'm using Draiga. Draiga just doesn't really sound as good, to be honest. I'm just going to use the Bit Beast's name when referring to both the blade and the Bit Beast because I find that easier. I'm going to be doing this as a video for each arc, starting with the Japanese tournament. So, whether you're someone who enjoyed the anime but never read the manga, a hardcore nut who consumes all, or just a passerby curious enough to watch, I hope you enjoy. The manga starts with Tyson blading with some other kids. He's really good at the sport, and jokingly tells them to call him the Beyblade King. Another kid called Kenny chimes in to kick his ego a bit, and Tyson gets a bit hurt, asking what does Kenny know. This prompts Kenny to start explaining about how Beyblade is the best thing ever, literally the martial art of the new millennium, and how he loves researching it. One of the kids tries to get a cheap shot at Tyson, but he misses and sends it flying, but luckily Tyson catches it. A kid comes running in, crying about having his Beyblade stolen. Tyson goes to confront the guy who took it, and we learn that he is a member of the Blade Sharks, a criminal gang who steals and destroys Beyblades. In the anime, this guy is just a local kid who wants to battle Tyson, and he's named Billy. In the manga, he doesn't even have a name. The two of them battle, and the Blade Shark wins and claims Tyson's blade as a prize. In the anime, the confrontation with the criminal who steals Beyblades happens with this guy instead, Carlos. Tyson is on his way to battle another blade called Andrew, but Carlos gets there first and whoops him. He runs into Billy on the way. It's here that Kenny is introduced, and in the dub, he actually has a Bit Beast trapped in his computer named Dizzy. She provides comic relief and some insight on Beyblading stuff. By the time of G-Revolution, she would be gone. By the time Tyson arrives, Carlos has already claimed everyone's blades. They begin prepping to battle, but Kenny convinces them to delay it by a day. Carlos does show up in the next chapter of the manga, but for whatever reason the anime mixed things up. Tyson tries to chase after the exiting Blade Shark, but is halted by a mysterious figure in a robe, who subtly tells him to seek justice through Beyblading, and not with fists. He also gives him a new blade. Tyson sees an image of a dragon carved in the centre, and decides to name it Dragoon. In the anime, he doesn't lose his Beyblade, still using the first one that he ever bought as a kid. His practicing is observed by the robe figure, who pulls off the robe to reveal his outfit, being some sort of ninja. If you watch the anime, then you will of course recognise him as Jin of the Gale, a character who wasn't introduced until the beginning of G-Revolution, the third series. Tyson goes to challenge the Blade Shark again, this time equipped with his new Dragoon, and absolutely stomps him, winning back the stolen Beyblades. While practicing, Tyson is grabbed by his grandfather, who drags him back to the dojo to do some training. This is actually the scene where the anime begins. Grandpa explains about the ancient sword techniques passed down by their ancestors, acting with the dragon in their heart. In the anime, they actually possess an ancient sword passed down, which is said to contain the spirit of a legendary dragon that the sword slayed. Tyson proves that he does indeed possess the spirit, demonstrating his skills not with a sword, but with his Beyblade instead. And Grandpa reflects on how he's had to raise Tyson, since his mother passed away while he was very young. In the anime, he also mentions that Tyson's father and brother are away doing archaeology. In the dub, none of this is present. So, as you can already tell, between the anime and the manga, things have been shifted around a bit. The introduction of Tyson came at different points, as well as certain things just being left out. Certain events happen in a different order, and character roles get swapped around a bit. It's the second annual Beyblade tournament, and Tyson has of course entered. He's made it to the semi-final, and his next opponent is Carlos, the winner of last year's tournament. In the manga, this is where he's introduced, but remember in the anime, he was the one going on stealing Beyblades. Tyson and Carlos get into a scuffle, and Carlos reveals that he's also a member of the Blade Sharks. Tyson isn't scared at all, and the match begins. Carlos takes a cheap shot right to Tyson and injures him, but he's our protagonist and isn't about to give up. The words of his grandfather echo in his mind, and Tyson is able to summon the strength of the Dragoon, a symbol appearing on his forehead as the spirit wraps itself around his body. He leaps into the air and launches his Beyblade with his feet, knocking Carlos's blade straight out of the ring and earning Tyson the victory, as a shadowy figure watches from the distance. In the anime, Tyson has a vision the night before his match with Carlos. While trying to figure out a way to beat him, he sees the spirit of the Dragoon coming towards him, and this inspires him to come up with a new strategy. The next day, him and Carlos have the battle down by the river, and of course Tyson wins. Following Carlos's defeat, he goes back to his base and gets punished by his boss, that same shadowy guy we saw at the end of chapter 1. We learn that his name is Kai, and he does not tolerate failure. He destroys Carlos's blade with a wrecking ball, proving just how hardcore he is. Kenny takes Dragoon without Tyson's permission, desperately wanted to study it, but gets kidnapped by the disgraced Carlos and the other Blade Sharks. Tyson goes to rescue him and winds up in the junkyard that the Sharks are using as a base. The Blade Sharks all gang up on Tyson, including Carlos, firing 3 blades at once. Tyson beats them all, and in a last desperate move, Carlos tries to crush Dragoon with a wrecking ball, but at the last second, the blade is pushed to safety by another blade. This came from Kai, who admonishes Carlos for losing to a weakling like Tyson, and makes it clear that he did not save Tyson, he just wants Dragoon. In the anime, the same sort of stuff happens, but once again it's in a different order. Kai jumps down right after Tyson beat Carlos next to the river, and he has a go at him, crushing his drop Beyblades right beneath his feet. Tyson makes it very clear that he doesn't agree with Kai's methods, and the two have the battle right there. Kai wins, destroying Tyson's Beyblade, and then leaves. Tyson is understandably upset by this, and he resolves to train and rebuild Dragoon. There's a bit of exposition about the Blade Sharks, telling us that they've been searching for a special Beyblade, and that Kai is their leader. Kai tries to steal Dragoon, but Jin intervenes and declares that Dragoon will only ally itself with the most worthy blader. To settle this, Tyson and Kai do battle in the Blade Sharks' aptly named Arena of Doom. It's made clear from the Mountain of Destroyed Beyblades that Kai takes satisfaction in not only winning, but outright demolishing other Beyblades. This is something that wasn't present in the anime, which changed Kai's character quite a bit. During the battle, their forehead symbols glow, and the beasts emerge, a fiery phoenix emerging from Kai's blade to clash with the dragon. The fight ends, but Tyson's blade is smashed. Oh yeah, by the way, the foreheads don't glow in the anime at all. That's a shame. In the anime, this battle is split into 2 separate encounters. The first time they battle is at the river when they first meet, that ends with Tyson losing. The second battle happens after Kenny gets kidnapped, and taken back to the hideout, which is now a warehouse rather than a junkyard. No wrecking ball this time, unfortunately. Just Carlos's blade being teamed up on by the others. It's during the second battle that the beasts emerge. It happens without Jin being there since, he doesn't show up until G-Revolution. Kai admits that Tyson is a good opponent, and he looks forward to facing him again, and leaves. Dragoon has been destroyed, and Tyson is heartbroken. Sometime later, Kenny goes looking for Tyson, and he finds him digging in the spot that was hiding place of Tyson and his brother Hiro back when they were kids. This is where we learn that Tyson has an older brother studying archaeology. Remember, this was revealed earlier in the anime by Grandpa, but in the manga this is where we first learn about it. Tyson says that his brother taught him all about Beyblading, and he actually buried a blade there to hide it from their grandfather, which Tyson digs up. He tests it out, and thinks he will definitely be able to beat Kai with it, but Jin drops by to give him an exposition dump about the 4 sacred beasts, the dragon, the phoenix, the tiger, and the chimera, which were born long, long ago. Tyson appreciates the story, but since his blade was destroyed, he can't use that power anymore. Luckily, Jin saved the bit chip, and he just gives it straight back. Now, with the modified blade of his older brother, and the returned Dragoon chip, Tyson is able to once again summon the beast and kick ass. In the anime, the rebuilding of Tyson's blade occurs after Tyson's first encounter with Kai. It's done with the help of Kenny and Andrew, and the blade is truly completed when Tyson prays to the ancestral sword, and the spirit leaves the relic and enters his Beyblade. After the battle with Kai, he officially names his Beyblade Dragoon. While practicing, a dog steals Dragoon and runs off with it, leading Tyson on a chase. The dog ends up falling in the water, and Tyson has to act fast to try and save it. Luckily, there's a new kid nearby to help, and he assists Tyson with his own Beyblade. This is Max, and he takes Tyson and Kenny to the shop where his dad works. Max is half Japanese, half American, and he misses his mother a lot, getting really defensive about it. The two bond over not really having mums, and then decide to have a friendly battle, Max using his proto-shell blade. Max ultimately wins, his defensive build managing to outlast Tyson's offensive focus build. The manga and anime version of these events are pretty much the same, except Max reacts a bit worse to Tyson talking about his mum. An older gentleman in a hat shows up and gets introduced as Mr. Dickinson, head of the BBA, which is a government group dedicated to developing both Beyblades and their bladers. He is there to invite the kids to a tournament he's hosting to determine the best blader in Japan. Tyson learns that Kai is going to be participating, and this kicks him into overdrive, since he needs some payback. The message of Kai being there is delivered by Jin, who is acting as a special advisor to the games. This is the same in the anime, but without Jin, of course. Tyson and Kenny have a bit of a disagreement when Kenny misunderstands Tyson's words, and he runs off to leave Tyson figuring out stuff by himself. He gets inspiration from his grandfather during sword practice, and he improves his launch technique, along with a new shout of "Let it grip." In the anime, the same stuff pretty much happens, but we get a nice little scene of Max and Kenny hanging out, and we also see Kai practicing, showing that it really means business. Things are more or less in the same order between the anime and the manga now. It's time for the Japanese tournament to begin. The event is commentated on by DJ Jazzman, who is actually based on a real life dude. Nice. Max makes it through the preliminaries off screen, and then Tyson watches on as Kai and Kenny both take part in their block's preliminary. This match is a survival match, where blades need to be standing after a certain amount of time has passed in order to qualify. So really, if there were 2 blades left, then as long as they're both still standing, they both go through. But of course, this is Kai. Kai, of course, beats the crap out of Kenny's blade, even going so far as to destroy it, rather than just knocking it out. He acts totally ruthless, telling Kenny that he'll need to shed blood in order to beat him, and that he's going to taste the pain of a real fight. The anime cuts back on Kai's harshness. After the battle, Tyson runs in and catches up with Kai, even going so far as to try and punch him, due to messing up Kenny's chances. Kenny calms him down, and actually takes it quite well, and Kai talks crap again before walking away. Jin has brought along another contestant named Ray, who is not paying attention to the battles at all, choosing to sit there with his eyes closed instead. In the anime, Mr. Dickinson is the one sitting with him. Tyson's preliminary battle sees him up against the ex-Blade Sharks, who want revenge for Tyson for getting them booted out. However, Carlos betrays the others, stating that he just wanted to get through to get revenge on Kai, and he never cared about them. He won by cheating, using an actual knife blade inside his Beyblade. He and Tyson both passed the preliminaries, but Tyson demands a one-on-one match, since he didn't consider the matter settled when they both pass through. He also implies Carlos as a coward, and this triggers him. Carlos accepts, and Mr. Dickinson allows the battle to proceed. Tyson wins, and Carlos asks Tyson to beat Kai for him. In the anime, Tyson calls out Carlos for cheating with the knife, and he says that he could feel his Beyblade crying because of the cheap tricks. He claims that Carlos doesn't understand the heart of a Beyblade. Tyson can't stand to see someone like him playing the game and challenges him. After Tyson wins, Ray finally wakes up and goes to his battle. Ray absolutely demolishes his competition, and immediately moves on to the semi-finals, and the final 4 are set. Tyson, Max, Ray, and Kai. The next match is Max vs Kai, and before it starts, Max's dad gives him a necklace from his mum. Max tries to be civil with Kai, but Kai just acts like a douche as usual. The two begin their fight, with Max unveiling his new Beyblade, Drasil. Kai waits no time at all smashing Drasil with Ronza, and Max begins to despair, dropping his necklace in the process. They have to stop for a quick repair, and Max picks the necklace up and notices that the chip inside fits in his Beyblade perfectly. When this happens, Tyson notices his own bit reacting. The battle resumes, and Max puts up a much better fight. Kai even admits that Max is good. Like with Tyson and Kai before, Max's forehead glows with the symbol of a beast, and both Tyson and Kai immediately recognise what is happening, and Tyson declares Drasil to be the 3rd legendary Beyblade. Max is overjoyed at this, and things seem to be going his way, but then Kai reveals one last trick, and knocks Drasil clean out. Max isn't too bummed out by this, and he congratulates Kai, but, he does find it weird that he can't sense any bitterness at all from them, and it actively annoys him. The anime version of the fight is pretty much the same, except it's Kai who notices his bit reacting instead of Tyson, and Kai isn't as bitter afterwards, although he still thinks Max is naive. The guys go to relax at the spa, then Kenny stumbles across Ray, training outside alone. Before he gets caught, his arm is grabbed, and he's led away to a secret lab. This mysterious, not kidnapper, is revealed as Mr. B, and he welcomes Kenny to the BBA's top secret ultra research facility. In the anime, there's a bit more conversation on the spa about how some have more control of the bit beats than others, and then they hear a noise. They see Ray training, and the episode ends by hyping up the match between him and Tyson. The whole thing with Kenny being led away by Mr. B doesn't happen, because Mr. B isn't in the anime at all. It's time for Tyson vs Ray, but Kenny is nowhere to be found. Tyson approaches the meditating Ray, but a powerful aura exudes from him, looking like a big tiger. Ray holds his blade up, naming it Driger, and the other 3 legendary Beyblades all react. You know what that means. While this is happening, Kenny is busy at work at the secret lab, trying to work new technology into a Beyblade for Tyson, with the help of Mr. B. In the anime, the initial meeting of Ray and Tyson is shortened to just them speaking a bit before the match, and Kenny is just working alone, making a bet to Dragoon without any help. Tyson and Ray's battle is a best of 3, and Ray takes the first round. Back at the lab, Mr. B reveals that he and Jin have been working on something new, the spin gear system. Basically, it makes Beyblades even better. Mr. B seems really sinister, doesn't he? Nobody is this helpful and smiles that much. I mean, look at the way he's dressed, he looks like an evil scientist. Ray nearly forfeits after his first round win because he's that bored, but he stays as a favourite to Jin. Tyson is much more amped up now, and he wins the second round. Unfortunately, his bit proved to be literally too powerful for the blade to handle and it explodes. Ray seems impressed by this and asks Jin for his opponent's name, smiling. All hope seems lost until Kenny conveniently shows up with a new and improved Dragoon for Tyson to use. In the anime, Dragoon gets broken after the first round, and it's this that causes Ray to want to leave, because there's no point continuing. Kenny showing up to fix Dragoon allows the battle to continue, although there's no spin gear here, just a new attack ring. There's a conversation between Ray and Mr. Dickinson in the locker room, and Ray says that he finds the opponents boring, but admits there is something about Tyson. The third and final round ends with Ray resigning, after Tyson unleashes Dragoon Storm S, which knocks him flying, even cutting his hair loose in the process. Ray seems pleased by this, happy that he finally has a worthy opponent. In the anime, both beasts emerge during the second round and clash, which draws great interest from Kai, who reflects on Ray being another individual, chosen by a sacred beast. He vows to defeat him with his Dronza. Tyson wins round 2, and Ray approaches him, admitting that he had no idea that people that strong even existed. The two immediately become friends, and Ray forfeits, since he knows he won't be able to win at his current level. Sorry, no long-haired Ray until later, unfortunately. Ray walks off and tells Mr. Dickinson that he's satisfied, and would be happy to team up with Tyson. Tyson is surprised to see the whole town turning up to cheer him on. Even more surprising is Jin, who congratulates him on making it that far. Tyson rebukes this, not wanting to associate with someone who spends time with his rivals, and he walks away. Grandpa sees this, and seemingly recognises Jin, although he knows him by another name. If you haven't guessed it by now, the hints are pretty obvious. It's time for the final match, Tyson versus Kai. Kai's blade sharks try to cheer him on, but he just tells them to f*** off. He's doing it for himself. He can't wait to make Tyson taste defeat in front of all those who have come to support him, and they begin their battle. Tyson takes the first round, knocking Kai clean off his feet, smacking into the cage behind him. Kai offhandedly gives Tyson some praise, but that's short-lived as he's getting serious now. He takes off his gauntlets, which turn out to have been weighted. Yep, it's a Dragon Ball moment. When the weighted clothing comes off, you know it's serious business. It's time to use the power that's been sealed away. In the anime, Kai gives Tyson the chance to forfeit before he embarrasses himself, since the power gap between them is too big. After Tyson takes the first round, he drops his gauntlets, but it's not emphasised how heavy they were. We wouldn't get this in the anime until G-Revolution. Seriously, why did they hold back so much stuff until G-Revolution? This next part is where there's a major difference between the manga and the anime. It's revealed that Kai's motivation for Beyblading is that he hates Beyblading. He wants to get revenge on every single Beyblade. Just then, a man bursts into the crowd, demanded the tournament be stopped. This is Kai's grandfather, Soichiro, president of Hiwatari Enterprises. He wants Kai to take over the family business and not waste his time with spinning tops. This makes him butt heads with Mr. Dickinson, and then someone else shows up. Susumu Iwatari, Kai's father. This guy is the catalyst for Kai's hatred of Beyblades, as Kai explains. Years ago, Kai used to practice Beyblading with his father, who worked on developing them. Unfortunately, Soichiro did not approve of this, and he forced Susumu to choose between either staying with the company or working on foolish Beyblades. Susumu ultimately chose Beyblades and had to leave, with Soichiro really hammering it in to Kai just how much of an asshole his dad was abandoning them. This broke Kai and made him despise Beyblades, because in his eyes, his dad chose Beyblading over being with his own son. He wanted to destroy them all, to rid the world of every last Beyblade. And this is what led to him forming the Blade Sharks, so that he could recruit others to his cause. Along the way, he learned of the 4 sacred beasts, and decided to try and capture them all, so that he could harness their power to destroy all Beyblades once and for all. Soichiro and Susumu start arguing after Soichiro refers to Kai as my boy. Soichiro doesn't want Kai to turn out to be a loser like his son, but he looks on as he wonders what sort of winner Kai would be. The anime doesn't have any of this. Kai just wants to be the best blader because that's what rivals do, although there is some stuff later. I think this backstory does add quite a bit to his character, and it's quite tragic to see a kid become so consumed by anger over a supposed betrayal that happened years ago. The backstory that we learn later on in the anime does contradict this, but I'll talk more about that when we get to the Russian arc. Kai takes round 2, knocking Tyson to the ground with an overwhelming attack. Tyson feels such great fear that he is even afraid of the next round, but he is spurred on by a familiar voice telling him to get up and remember his promise. Hearing the voice sends Tyson back into flashback mode, recalling when his brother Hiro left to go study archaeology. He's reminded of a promise he made to his brother that one day he would defeat him. He turns around and sees Jin standing there, and he finally puts two and two together. Jin has been his brother in disguise the whole time. Tyson gets the confidence to face Kai once more, and the final match begins. The clash of their beasts is so great that Ray is able to feel it from some distance away from the stadium, their power fully unleashed. Tyson declares that he is fighting for every other blader, the hopes and dreams making him strong. Kai bites back, announcing that he will be the one to crush those dreams, even urging Dronzon to kill his opponent. Tyson ultimately emerges victorious, Dragoon overpowering Dronza and knocking it straight out of the ring. Kai smiles briefly before walking away, saying that his hatred can wait. He has a new rival to take revenge on now. In the anime, Kai humbly admits defeat and turns to leave, and then Mr. Dickinson shows up with Ray by his side and commends them for an amazing fight. Kai disregards this, saying that a fight is pointless unless you win, and he only wants the title of strongest. Mr. Dickinson reveals that this whole tournament was actually just a way of finding the strongest bladers of Japan, and that the winners would be used to form the team for the World Tournament, which will be starting soon. Beyblading is spread across the globe, and the BBA needed a team to seek out the other powerful, as of yet unknown opponents. Kai initially resists, as his only goal is to defeat those with sacred beasts, but Mr. Dickinson hints that there are other sacred beasts around the world. This of course gets Kai interested, and he joins. He doesn't intend on playing best friends though, and he makes it very clear that when he sorted out the beasts around the world, he will be coming for theirs. In the dub, Kai is made team captain, and Tyson comes up with their team name, the Blade Breakers. That concludes the first video. I hope you found it interesting. As someone who really enjoyed the anime as a kid and had a lot of nostalgia for it, it has been fascinating both reading the original manga and watching the Japanese version of the anime, because there's so many different things. The beasts having their original names and symbols whenever their power awakens, Kai's wildly different backstory and characterization, and Hiro being present from the very beginning have all been interesting to read, and I think there's a case for preferring either the manga or the anime direction. I think I prefer the manga at the moment because there's more going on with the characters and the lore, but that could change. Let me know which one you prefer, and I'll see you next time when the Blade Breakers head to China for the Asian tournament.